If the 7-year marriage itch thing is a thing, Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh should still be in the honeymoon phase. The first year of the marriage saw good things for the Chargers, finishing 11-6 on the season, 4 games behind the Chiefs in the AFC West. They did make it to the postseason, but that is where it has been tricky for the Chargers as of late. Lost to the Texans in the wild card round. Now, when it comes to quarterback Justin Herbert, not a lot of love from our Pete Prisco, who, by the way, on CBSSports.com, you can find his top 100 players in the NFL. Justin Herbert coming in at 49, halfway down the list. Let's give you a little season preview for the Chargers. Let's welcome in Bryant McFadden, John Breech here. Breech, I'll start with you. What do you think about Justin Herbert coming in at 49 for Pete Prisco?
Well, I think Prisco is a what have you done for me lately guy, and he watched Justin Herbert throw 4 interceptions in the playoffs back in January. That leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and Justin Herbert hasn't been able to get over that hump of getting to the next round of the playoffs, of making his team a true Super Bowl contender. So you know what? As much as I love to argue with Pete Prisco, I'm not going to do that here, because if you look at that list of quarterbacks we had up there, you can't really argue with any of the quarterbacks that are ahead of him. So I think if Justin Herbert, you make that jump, you win a couple playoff games, you can move up that list. But for now, I'm actually going to agree with Pete Prisco.
Yeah, John, I'm right there with you. In terms of talent, Justin Herbert is one of the more talented quarterbacks in the National Football League. But the issue for Justin Herbert has been being able to put that talent in winning columns and being able to do so on a consistent basis. Now, granted, they got into the playoffs, but to your point, he played one of the worst ball games we've watched from him in 2025 in the more critical moments. And those are things you cannot do when you're the type of talented player that Justin Herbert is. So I have no issues. Usually there's an issue or two with Pete Prisco's top 100, but in terms of where he has Justin Herbert, I think it's fair.
All right, maybe he'll be able to move up a little bit in Pete Prisco's list over the course of this next season. Let's dive into the Chargers a little bit more. Biggest offseason additions. B-Mac, I want to start with you because they get a now Super Bowl winning player.
No question. I mean, when you talk about this guy, if he is healthy, look out. This offensive line would be very, very good. And the biggest addition for me is McFadden. And the reason why, John, is because you look at how impactful he was with the Eagles a year ago. Remember, the issue for McFadden before he became a Philadelphia Eagle was staying healthy, right? Staying consistent in his health. Well, he was healthy for the majority of the season, to say the least, and the production was felt, not just by Eagle fans, but by opposing defenders that were going against number 77 week in and week out. Now you pair him up with their identity on the offensive side with the Chargers. We know one thing about a Coach Harbaugh-led team. They're going to set the tone at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to run the football. They have 2 big running backs, Omarion Hampton, Najee Harris. If McFadden is healthy, playing the interior of that offensive line, you better believe they will be mauling people from left to right and following McFadden, because Saquon Barkley had a phenomenal year following McFadden. The same can be said for Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris, especially if he's healthy.
B-Mac, I love that you brought up Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, because those are my 2 big additions. And I do think it kind of goes together with your guy, McFadden, here, because the whole point, like you said, Jim Harbaugh wants to win football games by bullying people. He wants to bully you in the trenches. You do that with your offensive line. You set up your run game, and that takes some pressure off your quarterback. And Harbaugh was pretty clear about that when he got hired last year, that he wanted to improve the run game. And they went out, they got J.K. Dobbins, they had Gus Edwards, but those 2 couldn't stay healthy. They both missed a few games due to injuries. So I don't think that they really got that rushing attack on track like they wanted to. So what do? They go out and they double down this offseason. Like B-Mac said, you had McFadden, now you add the 2 running backs by signing Najee Harris away from Pittsburgh. You draft one in the first round. So it seems pretty clear what their plan is. Run the ball, take some pressure off Justin Herbert so he doesn't feel like he has to do everything, because it does seem like he kind of plays that way. And hopefully that finally wins you a playoff game. So Najee Harris, Omarion Hampton, my 2 biggest additions for the Chargers.
Okay, those are the additions, which means, of course, we have to go to the losses here. B-Mac, I want to start with you. You have Joey Bosa, who's now with the Bills. Why is he such a big loss for this team?
Well, just the experience, his presence, of course, the potential. Of course, now, if you're a Charger fan, you grew accustomed to not having Bosa in the lineup. But when he was in the lineup, you had to account for him. 9 starts a year ago, 5 sacks, right? I mean, he's a guy that can get home and put pressure on the opposing quarterback. When you look at the duo of Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, when Bosa was healthy, those were 2 guys you really had to account for. Now, moving on from Joey Bosa, it puts more attention on Khalil Mack. He's a year older. We know the potential is still there. Production is still there. But just not having that ideal duo that we've seen in years past could be something that could take some time to get used to. But like I said, for Charger fans, you kind of grew accustomed to not having him in the lineup. But I think not having him in the lineup throughout the entire year is going to be a significant blow, especially in the first month of the season.
Yeah, when Joey Bosa is healthy, he's absolutely one of the best defensive players, one of the better defensive players in the NFL, and certainly on that Chargers defense. And you look at that Chargers defense, it was one of the best in the NFL last season. And not only are they losing Joey Bosa, but I think one of the more underappreciated losses is Poona Ford. He played there up on that defensive line. He was bottling things up. He is a big man. He was drawing double teams so that guys like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa could put up bigger numbers. And when you look at what Poona Ford did, he started all 17 games. B-Mac just talked about how Joey Bosa, his biggest problem was availability. He was missing games. He had trouble staying healthy. Poona Ford did not. He was out there every single game in the trenches. That's the kind of guy Jim Harbaugh loves, so it was a little bit surprising to see them let him walk away across the city to the Los Angeles Rams. So I do think this one is going to hurt. I'm not sure their pass rush is going to be as effective without Poona Ford, so I think this is a big loss for the Chargers.
Breech, you mentioned Jim Harbaugh there, entering his 2nd year now with the Chargers. We had a chance to talk to him maybe a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, like, hey, have you done anything fun this summer? Just chit-chatting, and he's like, why would I? I love it being here at the Chargers facility, and I like being at home. And that's it. Those are the only 2 places I want to be. Building on his first-year success, B-Mac, what do you think we need to see from the head coach?
Well, just continue to build on what you talked about. We saw the foundation be laid a year ago. Now add to the foundation. Offensive line-wise, bringing in Mekhi Becton should help that foundation continue to build on. When you look at the running back, drafting Amari Hampton clearly was a Coach Harbaugh type move, a bruising running back with the athleticism and the speed to turn 5-yard runs into 20 and 30-plus yard runs. And not to mention defensively, continue to be a physical, stout group. This will be a successful year, in my opinion. When you look at the entire landscape of the AFC West, I think the AFC West, John, in totality, will be a bit better than what we saw last year. I don't think Denver Broncos, I don't see them slowing down. I think they will be better. And the same can be said for Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders taking steps in the right direction. So it will be a much more competitive division, but I still believe Coach Harbaugh will have his team in the thick of things in terms of being potential a playoff suitor.
Okay, it's really interesting you say that because we're going to go into schedule prediction here. They finished 11-6 last season. Both of you guys have them finishing a little worse than that. Breech, we'll start with you.
Yeah, man, I have them at 10-7. Look, I do like the Chargers. I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I do not think they are going to unseat the Chiefs. We know they travel more mileage than anyone, so they're going to get a lot of bonding time this season. The one thing I do like about their schedule is the fact if you look at their first 10 games there is a possibility that 6 of those first 10 games will be coming against teams that will be starting a new quarterback. That will start in week 2. Against Geno Smith, they face Russell Wilson, the Giants, or Jackson Dart, whoever they throw out there. You have J.J. McCarthy, that Vikings game down there. So they face a bunch of first-time starters with new teams, and that's what you want when you have this really good defense. They also have a chance to get off to a hot start with 3 divisional games out of the gate. That's the first time in 37 years they've opened the season with 3 straight divisional games. But as you can see, I have them falling on their face there. I'm going 10-7, making the playoffs, but not doing better than last year.
Well, John, you went 10-7. I'm going 9-8, and here's why. Offensively, I think they will run the football very, very well. How much better will the passing game be? Bringing in Mike Williams is one thing, but can he stay healthy, right? We know about Ladd McConkey, but that was an issue a year ago. It was Ladd McConkey and no one else. Hopefully Mike Williams can go surface of being that playmaker that he was earlier on in his career at the Chargers, and most importantly, being healthy. But if you look at how they finished the season, you talked about they will travel the most miles out of any team in the National Football League. That could play a part. But you look at the final 5 games, you got the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Denver Broncos, right? That's how you finish the season. I think that could be a very, very difficult gauntlet for the Chargers, especially in the latter moments of the year, knowing the distance that they will travel throughout their entire schedule. I'm going 9-8. I still believe they could be in that playoff conversation, but I think it's going to be a little difficult than what we saw in year 1 for Coach Harbaugh.
Potentially losing the last 5 games of the season is rough. Bryant, McFadden, John Breech here. Those are what they think. Let's take a look at what Sportsline thinks when it comes to the Chargers here. Look, right in between, 9.8 wins. So BMAC going with 9, Breech going with 10, a 2.5% chance to make the Super Bowl.